Here on Starr 103.5 FM. And coming up on Starr today, the Electoral Commission finally resolves Dom Kwabenya parliamentary election impasse as it declares Elikli Makurugu as MP-elect, truncating the Abokobi polling station electoral rerun.
With the power invested in me as the returning officer for Dom Kwabenya constituency and in the presence of the returning officer for the presidential election, I declare Madam Akurugu Forsina Elikli as the MP-elect for
We've got details of this story coming up for you here on Starr today. Also coming up in the bulletin, the MPP expresses optimism at emerging victorious tomorrow as the High Court is expected to rule on objections against 4 defective mandamus applications on the 1st of January.
They have already administratively declared those results as illegal, and the Electoral Commission is doing it well. So this argument that they declared results is neither here nor there. However, we have firm belief that in the end we will be victorious.
Also coming up in the bulletin, the NDC criticizes President Akufo-Addo over selection of recipients for the recent National State Awards, arguing that some honorees did not deserve the recognition that they received.
With his head properly screwed on, I want people like this former Kaswa and who is it? How Akumsin for shooting and killing Ghanaians during elections. Why? Why should anybody be awarding a state honor to Branda Champon?
We've got details of all of these stories and more coming up for you here on Starr today on Starr 103.5 FM. Do stay tuned.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takoradi, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
This is Starr 103.5 FM. We are simply the best. To our first story now. The Electoral Commission, after weeks of disputes, has resolved the impasse on the parliamentary results for the Dom Kwabenya constituency. The Commission, following its inability to verify the polling station results of the Abokobi Women Training Center B, had earlier hinted of plans to rerun the elections at the polling station. But following the EC's what the EC describes as a fact-checking and fact-finding mission, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, earlier today revealed that all stumbling blocks have been resolved.
Some days after the election, reached out to the agents, the party agents, and the agent for the NPP sent his copy, and we've seen that we have the evidence and their communication, and it tallies that of what our presiding officer had on the training sheet. We have also met with the NDC, agent, and we've also taken a record of his tally sheet, which also contains the number of people who came to the center and the votes for each of the parties, and they tally. And that has enabled us to arrive at a completion today. So today, the Commission is pleased to note it has brought proceedings and collation at the document. Ours is not to make anybody president. It is to ensure that our outcomes and our processes guarantee that the people's choice is upheld. So we're happy to note that we have come full circle today, and the outcome of that election has been confirmed as being legitimate, as being the choice of the people. I think at this point it is not in my place to make that declaration, and I'll hand over to our MC to take over and to to let proceedings continue. Thank you. So we'd like to thank you. You know, it's been a long road. I was blaming, I think that the lesson in it is that our processes must be allowed to work. I know that the candidate has been through quite a bit, you know, but the processes must be allowed to work. And I'd like to also place on record that we don't rest on our oars here. And we're burning the midnight oil to ensure that, you know, the right thing is done. And we're pleased that, you know, we had that flash, that light bulb moment to go down, to drill down to the ground. And that has brought out the truth. And the truth will be upheld. So thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Jean Mensah is chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Well, she also gave the returning officer for the Dom Kwabenya constituency, James Kofi, clearance to officially declare Elikpili Makurugu as MP-elect. By declaring Elikpili Makurugu as the MP-elect, according to him, Elikpili Makurugu secured 50,967 votes, while the MPP's Michael Quay Jr. garnered 50,669 votes.
Just like the chairperson has said, we have arrived at the final result of the Kwabenya parliamentary election. On the face of the pay sheets, we have Michael Ewo Yao Okwe Jr. polled 50,669 votes, 50669. Akuru Faustina Elikpili polled 50,967 votes, 50967. Dora Nyako polled 220 votes, that is 220. And Remy Parko Edmondson polled 302, that is 302. The total value votes 102,158, 102,158. The total rejected ballots 624, that is 624. The total vote cast, that is 102,782, that is 102,782. Now, with the power invested in me as the returning officer for the Kwabenya constituency, and in the presence of the returning officer for the presidential election, I declare Madam Akuru Faustina Elikpili as the MP-elect for Kwabenya. Thank you.
And you've just listened to the returning officer for the Dom Kwabenya constituency, James Kofi, declaring officially Elikpili Makurugu as MP-elect for the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Well, reacting to her victory, the Dom Kwabenya MP-elect Elikpili Makurugu asserted that the declaration is an affirmation of the will of the people of Ghana in the Dom Kwabenya constituency. She also indicated that she's committed to working for the development and betterment of the constituency, ensuring that the voices of the constituents are heard and addressed.
I think today we didn't have any declaration because there was no recollation or anything. Today is an affirmation because you all know that on the 8th of December, almost all of you were present in Dom Kwabenya where I was declared. So today is not a declaration, it's an affirmation. And so I just want to thank God for how far He has brought us. Today, we all know that the elephant is a big animal. And when you kill it before it finally dies, it has to take time and it has to struggle. And so today, finally, the elephant is dead. And Dom Kwabenya has come to stay.
What did the magic?
It's hard work. it's hard work and dedication, and of course prayers that led us to this victory. So on this note, I want to thank everybody who came on board. I mean, during the this long hours. In fact, the ESMAS, it didn't go well for me because of the up and down. Today you are being called, tomorrow you are here, you are there. So I just want to thank all those who came on board to support us. And the victory, the voice of the people has finally spoken. And so to God be the glory. Great things he has done and greater things he will do.
What should constituents expect?
Oh, of course. They should expect. Now, the MP-elect, the next thing is to start work. You know, the Mekwabenya has always been for the MPP, and this is the first time the NDC has taken that seat. And so it's hard work that will make the people maintain me for long. And so it's all going to be hard work, and the hard work starts today. And so I want to thank the constituents for having that trust in me and then giving me this mandate. And I can promise them that we are going to make sure the Mekwabenya becomes a place that everybody will love to be.
We thank them for the path they've taken.
Elikpili Makurugu is MP-elect for the Dom Kwabenya constituency. And one other person who was there is the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the National Democratic Congress earlier when he spoke to my colleague Mutala Inusa after court proceedings with regard to some 4 constituencies where Mandemo's application was heard. He had indicated that they were going straight to the NDC, to the EC's headquarters to deal with these issues. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you're doing well. I guess you are very excited and happy about the outcome of the elections, or what the EC has just done, declaring Elikpili Makurugu as MP-elect. All right. We seem to have lost Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer on the line. We'll try and raise him back on the line so that we speak to him. And I was indicating that earlier he had engaged our court correspondent Mutala Inusa in the aftermath of court proceedings for the 4 outstanding constituencies where that Mandemo's application was to be heard. And he had indicated that they had evidence that the declaration that the constituency that was outstanding had indeed gone in the favor of the NDC, and so they were going to compel the EC to do that declaration. Later on, of course, we heard that the EC has done the declaration. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is back on the line. Doc, thank you very much for joining us. I believe that the NDC is pretty excited now. The NDC is pretty excited now about what the EC, or the declaration that the EC has done today.
Well, let me say good cherished listeners and you yourself. Must say it's a victory for democracy. We fought a very difficult battle. The impediment was just too much, but we stood our grounds, and we knew that it will come to pass because we won the election fairly. The people voted for Our Lady, Madame Faustina, and we were very sure that they knew what they were doing when they were voting for Madame. And so there was no way any machination could stop the victory.
Now, the EC chairperson had indicated in this press conference that both the NDC and the MPP had agreed that particular constituency, that particular polling station in Abokobi was going to be rerun. So if you had agreed earlier, how come you had an objection later on?
You see, we didn't want to have a banter with Madame because she was not at that meeting. She didn't preside over the meeting. The parameters on which that decision was taken was based on the issue of Abokobi, the pink sheet over the use. We didn't have the facts as we went out and to gather the facts later. And so after we went to do that kind of reaffirmation, we checked and saw that, no, that was not the facts given to us at the iPad. Because clearly what shows was that the people actually voted, results were counted, and then the lady didn't have a pink sheet to fill in the results. So she used the specimen pink sheet to enter the parliamentary results. That's what happened. And so we said, no, how can we punish the voters and the candidates for the inefficiency of the presiding officer? That couldn't have been fair. We would have been setting a very dangerous precedent.
So moving forward now, that Dom Kwabenya is in the back for the National Democratic Congress. I guess you will turn your attention to what's happening in court tomorrow. How confident are you of the arguments that have been made, against the Mandemo's application in court today?
we are very much sure that tomorrow the judge would uphold our objection raised by our lawyers, because clearly they know what to do. The right thing to do is to come with a petition to the High Court if you are challenging a declaration made by the returning officer. But you don't come through this backdoor method using mandamus. Because if you use mandamus, it's a backdoor method. What you are trying to do is to now force your way to get a petition move on your behalf, because you think that some declaration was not done properly, and that you think that some returning officers did that under duress. And it's not the form of Electoral Commission to do that kind of announcement or setting aside certain declaration. It is a High Court. And so we are telling them they should do the right thing. Those declarations should stand. Let them be gazetted and sworn in. Then you can file a petition at High Court under PNDC Law 284, Section 16(1) and Section 20, where you can get your release form. And then the High Court will look at it and see whether those declarations were done properly or not. But not to come through mandamus and trying to force the hands of the High Court and so that they go into an illegality at the Electoral Commission. We are not going to allow it.
Very well, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, I'm grateful that you've spoken to us here on Starr today.
I'm grateful.
Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC. Well, some constituents in the Dom Kwabinya constituency have been reacting to the news that Eli Makurubu is now officially confirmed by the Electoral Commission as their Member of Parliament elect.
The majority of the constituents wanted change and voted for change. So I think it's a step in the right direction. The EC they had all their facts, their figures, their recollation is done and everything. So the confirmation is just a step in the right direction. So once that has been done, it behoves on the newly elected member of parliament, that is Elipili Makurubu, to hit the grounds running when she's sworn in and make sure that she pays attention to the issues and the needs of the constituents, because she will be in charge of the largest electoral area according to the EC for the election 2024. So it's good. It's a step in the right direction. She should bring about the needed change that the constituents need, and she should work hard so that in the future she will be able to maintain her seat.
A constituent there in the Dom Kwabinya constituency reacting to the news that the EC has declared Elipili Makurubu as Member of Parliament elect for the Dom Kwabinya constituency. Now, the High Court in Accra will, tomorrow, Wednesday, January 1, 2025, which is New Year's Day, deliver its ruling on preliminary legal objections against 4 defective applications for mandamus from the New Patriotic Party, asking the court to compel the Electoral Commission to collate and declare parliamentary election results. The court, presided over by Justice Forsen Ba Ejapong, fixed the date after hearing submissions from lawyers of the NDC, and the same responded to by the EC and the NPP side. Now, Godwin Ejuji Tamaklo, counsel for the NDC parliamentary candidates, argued that the application seeking to compel the EC to collate and declare elections that have already been declared is defective and incompetent. Here's a report by EIB Network's court correspondent Mutala Inusa.
Hoping to hear extensive argument in relation to the applications for mandamus, the 4 parliamentary candidates, specifically Techiman South, Tama Central, Okankwe Central, then Ablikman North, following the Supreme Court orders. And rightly so, they appeared before the High Court in Accra presided over by Justice Forcing Ban Japan. Both political parties fairly represented, a lot of legal luminaries in court today. And just when we thought that the substantive matter, which has to do with the mandamus application that is seeking an order of the court to compel the Electoral Commission or to command the Electoral Commission to perform its lawful duty or constitutional duty, the NDC side, particularly lawyer Eduji Tamaklo, raised a preliminary legal objection to the mandamus applications before the court. What he said was to the effect that if you look at the nature of the applications before the court, it is an election petition in disguise. An election has been conducted, EC official, returning officer declared results in favor of their candidate. So if there is anything at all, the elections are completed in the various constituencies, and so the proper forum for them to go is to come to the High Court with an election petition and not an application for a mandamus, for which the court is supposed to compel the Electoral Commission to go and do a re-collation and a re-declaration. Lawyers of the NPP side, also led by Gary Nimakun, made the point that as we speak, there is no official results before any constituency, especially the constituencies in contention. No official declarations have been made, and so what results are the NDC people asking that they should go and challenge by way of an election petition. The EC's lawyers also came in and said, look, we are opposed to the preliminary legal objections raised. The proper forum is by way of the application brought by the applicant, and therefore, if there is no proper election results before the court, on what basis are the court being called upon to even look at that particular say and say that the mandamus application before the court are not proper? Papanko Computer, Alexander Afenyo-Mark, and for that, they think that the proper forum is for them to come to court when the incident happened, particularly with respect to Alexander Afenyo-Mark, who the majority leader of the NPP side is saying that, look, they have managed to drag the NDC from the street and brought them to court where the law works for them to go through or deal with the issues there. And so for them, they are waiting patiently, hoping for a fair result from the court. The argument that it is an election petition in disguise, they completely disagree with that particular leg of argument being advanced.
We have every patience for the law. A court process may be slow, but with surety you will get the results when you know you are on firm grounds. What it is about this, simply put, the Electoral Commission itself has stated with emphasis that there is no such thing as a declaration of results in Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, and Tema Central, as well as Dominico Abenya. So they have already administratively declared those results as illegal, and the Electoral Commission is doing its work. So this argument that they declared results, is either here nor there. The body in charge of the elections says that the elections have not been concluded. They are saying that their officers were threatened, were cajoled to do an illegal act, and the law allows them, the CI allows them to ensure that the right things are done. And that is what they've done. There is no official declaration. It is the Electoral Commission that does declaration of results. It is saying that it has not concluded. What it has concluded is a final collation which declared all our candidates whose matter is in dispute the rightful elected candidates. So that's it.
Well, they were coming through the back door. They tried to use ambush tactics to get a constituency recollation, which we don't have it in our laws. The one to do declaration is the returning officers. They have done their work. You are not satisfied with their work. What do? You come by a petition. The mandamus is meant to force them to do an action they have not done, but they have done the action. They concluded the action. Their work is to what? To collate and declare. And they have collated and declared. They wanted the judge to do justice for it.
What justice means?
And to throw them away.
That's the only way that
allow our MPs to be sworn in, simple and short. They won the election.
What is clear is that the Justice Ban forcing the Japan will have to make a determination, and the determination will depend whether or not the court will proceed to deal with the matter itself. If the court upheld the NDC's preliminary legal objections, the court will no longer hear the mandamus application, because the court would then upheld the submission that it is not properly filed. But if the court deem it fit that the objection has no merit and same is dismissed, the way would now be clear for the MPP candidate to move their respective mandamus application, which simply is asking for a compelling order on the EC to collate and declare those constituencies in question. And the NDC side will also have the onus to respond to them earlier per their submissions filed at the court. They are opposing to them and they're asking the court to dismiss all those applications in its entirety.
Mutala Inusa there with that wrap. Now, the National Democratic Congress has criticized President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo over the selection of recipients for the recent National State Awards. Now, the party believes that some honorees did not deserve the recognition they received. Speaking at the 43rd anniversary celebration of the 31st December Revolution, National Chairman of the party, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, expressed concern about the credibility of the awards and lack of transparent criteria for selecting awardees, suggesting that the process undermines the prestige of the awards. He called for the introduction of legislation to regulate the organization and conferral of National State Awards, emphasizing the need for transparency, fairness, and a merit-based system.
We are beginning to worship money more than virtue. And even in our high circles, we have started conferring state honors on looters and murderers. What are we doing? We are teaching the youth that after all, there's nothing wrong with looting state coffers. That after all, there's nothing wrong with drawing a gun and shooting and killing your fellow Ghanaians. If anybody had any doubt about the brain behind all the killing and the looting that has taken place in the past 8 years, I believe the award ceremony that happened yesterday has cleared all the doubt that all the wrong things that were happening, all the wrong things that were committed by the appointees of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo were actually endorsed by the big man himself. Otherwise, why would anybody with his head properly screwed on award people like this former Kaswa MP, who is he? Hawa Kumsin, for shooting and killing Ghanaians during elections? Why? Why should anybody be awarding a state honor to Branda Champong? Why? In fact, I feel cheated because the people of Brahafo deserve to have one of the honors conferred on Abronye, our regional chairman. And I believe that the people of Ashanti will also complain about why Chairman Wuntumi was not awarded. Have we forgotten about the significance of state awards? It's been said that a nation that does not award its heroes is not worth dying for. So state awards are serious businesses. They must be reserved for people of distinction, people who have fought for a good cause. And if we award state honors to vigilante boys and girls, then that is what we are teaching the youth.
Johnson Asiedu Nketia is national chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Meanwhile, political scientist Dr. Asante has described as legitimate concerns that the National Awards and Honors ceremony has been watered down in recent times. Speaking on the Morning Star with Nadede Tete, Dr. Asante questioned the basis upon which individuals were awarded and how the selection process was done. He has urged the government to make public its criteria and contributions of the awardees.
The president gives award to deserving citizens, so it should not only be limited to ordinary Ghanaians. The people are in his government, and by his calculations, they excel, they perform so well. They are also deserving of awards. So once we place that in context, let's look at it. People are arguing whether the awards, they are watered watering down the awards or not. That point is legitimate in the sense that if we are looking at a situation where you are giving awards to people and you don't see that great contribution, then you have really watered down the award. So those that you are giving awards to, you want to look at each of them and the contribution they brought to the government and, for that matter, the state in their various ministries and whatever. So that should be the focus. If you say you're giving the vice president an award, what is it that he brought to the table? For which reason we need to celebrate him at the national level? And that same rod must be used for all those who received the award. I'm talking about awardees. So that is the calculation. If they have not brought anything substantial, anything extraordinary, then it's amount to nothing. Look, it means that, look, you are just giving party boys some glory. But if it is award, well-instituted one, a committee must be set to look at the basis for the award and all that. So after going through all this, we need to have better and better particulars about the standard they use to give the award and what is it that they were able to contribute and all that.
Dr. Asante is a political scientist speaking to Nade Tete earlier on the Morning Star this morning. Now, the minority in parliament has charged the incoming Mahama administration to institute a probe into circumstances under which the government handed the Saglemi affordable housing project to a private investor. The Nana Adodan Akufo-Addo administration has handed the stalled project started by the previous NDC administration to Kwam LMI for completion. Speaking to the media during a tour of the facility by a committee on works and housing, the ranking member Vincent Opoansamwa argued such a review will equip the new government with the knowledge to know the way forward.
And we have 8 years down the lane. This is what MPP administration is bequeathing to the incoming administration. So that should tell you the level of distraction, the level of theft, and how the site has been mismanaged. And I don't think any Ghanaian should be happy with what we are seeing here this afternoon. The quality of work that was handed over to MPP administration in 2017, we can't say same now. Doctor have said a lot about what we are supposed to do going forward. And you know, right now they've given it to a private developer to complete the project. I said it earlier that once government is in a hurry to offload any state asset, then the incoming administration should also take some interest in such an arrangement, so that if it will be beneficial to the state, we'll allow them to continue. However, if it is not to the benefit of the nation, a review is very important. You know, once NDC, we mention review, and people will tell you, oh, yeah, we don't want to cancel it. But you all know review is not cancelling. At least we look at the pros and cons of the agreement, and if it will kneel to the benefit of the public, we'll go ahead and we execute it. And my brother spoke about a project that was bequeathed by President Akufo to NDC administration as Asokore Mampong, and then we also had Botieman and other places. Government did not leave that project. All that we did was that because we didn't have the money by then, what we did, we contracted SNIT. SNIT at that time was quite resourceful, so SNIT was able to complete most of these structures. I was there as a deputy minister for Western Housing then, so I knew what that administration did just in 2013 when we took over. Unfortunately, this is where we are at Saglemi. I think we need to improve upon that. This government has also started a lot of these projects all over the place, and I'm only hopeful that our administration will not allow those structures to suffer what Saglemi has gone through. It is just not good. It is not good because it's state money. You mentioned about $200 million. If we had even salvaged about half of this project, at least we have saved something for the state, the 200 million. Would have saved something for the state. As for legal to go by legal issues, you can have time to go to legal issues. It can take 10, 15, 20 years. But at least what we have there belongs to all of us. So we need to not allow those structures to suffer what Saglame has gone through. It is just not good. It is not good because it's state money. It's mentioned about $200 million. If we had even salvaged about half of this project, at least we have saved something.
That's Vincent Opong Asamoah there, who is a ranking member on the Works and Housing Committee. And touching on the recent fire incident at the project, site supervisor for the project, Yao Obing, refuted arson claims, explaining that the fire outbreak was as a result of the decision to burn some overgrown bushes on the site.
It was earlier reported that the equipment that got burnt were expired. How true is that?
So far I can't say that they were expired product because these were items that have been there for 8 to 10 good years. But then from the look at how they appeared and stuff, it isn't something that we can actually use for the new project. That's what I can say.
All right, so the equipment left out there to rot, are they going to be used? Clearly, some are in poor state, some are not in the condition to be used. What is your response to that as well?
Okay, so like you rightly said, some are in poor state and then some are not in its rightful use. At the end, we will have to do a general assessment about it. So to those that we can actually use for the project, we'll sort it out and then we'll use it. And to those that maybe after running our general assessment, will not be able to use, we have to sort it out.
With the fire site, just repeat that.
Okay, so
the cause of the fire.
Okay, so I mean, when we took over the site, the whole place was bushy. So we needed to clear the whole site and to just make the place accessible to, I mean, people who, come around for other activities. So we just decided to, to burn the waste, and unfortunately, after we had let, the whole thing escalated. So it wasn't, I mean, someone who had traveled outside and decided to set it ablaze. I mean, it was a planned thing, but unfortunately it went beyond our control. And then thankfully when we called on the fire service, they came through and then they put everything off.
Your name, your full name?
Yao Obing. Yes, please. Yao Obing. And I'm the project site supervisor for Kwam Elemani.
Are you able to put a total cost to the distracted stuff?
No, please, I can't tell us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
So you've just listened to the project manager for the project supervisor for the Sagleme housing project here, being there speaking to journalists. Now, on the issue of the fire outbreak, let's get to the phone line and speak to the PRO, the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana National Fire Service, Alex King Nate. Thank you very much for joining us here on Starr today. With regard to the fire outbreak at the Sagleme Housing Project, in the aftermath of it, what has the fire service been able to gather?
Well, good to yourself and to your listeners. Per our gathering, it looks like the fire was as a result of indiscriminate burning. Something that we've been strongly advising people against. So it looks like upon resumption of the new contractor at the site, they gathered the rubbish or the weed and they tried to burn them, but on this particular day they forgot to put it out and the fire spread to the containers. But fortunately, our officers upon arrival made sure that we wouldn't make the fire spread to the main housing project, but just limit it to the containers that house storage materials or the items that we use for the construction.
Right. So let's now switch our attention also. I'm curious about this, to the year, under review with regard to fire outbreaks, that have occurred. From the statistics that the National Fire Service has as we're ending the year, just how bad, has it been with regard to various fire outbreaks? And doing a comparative analysis of what the 2023 figures was, what is it looking like?
Well, we saw some increase in fires, some increase in fire outbreaks quite marginally, because it looks as if people, initially our emergency lines were not really known by people, so a lot of fires that would have gone unreported this time around weren't reported because people now had our numbers. Hence, it made the numbers go high. Also, you realize that at the beginning of the year, there was some drought. And with this drought came quite a number of bushfires, recording quite a number of bushfires. Even in this December, we recorded quite a number of bushfires. These has also been part of the reason why the fire outbreak has increased. Also, urbanization has also been one of the bane of fires, because a lot of these fires also that record happen in these slum areas. A lot of wooden structures, a lot of container structures. And so this urbanization, when people come from the villages to Accra and don't have any stable accommodation, they end up residing in wooden structures or slum areas. And while residing there, they don't really adhere to fire safety precautions. And so we record a lot of fires in these slum areas also. So these are some of the reasons why we recorded quite a number of increase.
Right. So moving forward into the new year, what would you say, to those listening to Starr FM right now, with regard to keeping safe and reducing the incidence of fire outbreaks?
So what I'll tell them is that we've never been shy to admit the fact that as a service we are logistically constrained. It's been over 10 years since the fire service received a fire tender that could be used in firefighting. So hence the one that we use as a service, our leadership has been committed fixing the fire tenders that have been out of commission and done our part, but then we've not been able to fix all the tenders out of commission. The long-term solution is to get fire tenders that will be able to, stand the time. So we do our best. We are prepared. We are putting measures in place, but we need some people to also take charge of their fire safety, so that in the face of these challenges, they'll be able to manage themselves better and prevent fires. Also, we ask people that going forward into the new year, they should demand better from their assembly. Demand that the assembly set up fire stations close to them. And so when we get fire tenders that is close to them, our response time will be much more impressive or improved.
Right, but what has been? But I'm curious to know what has been the problem that you have inadequate fire tenders, and for the past 10 years it's been a challenge for you.
I'm sure even on your as you sit behind the desk, you I don't think you remember the last time you ever read the news about any donation being made to the Ghana National Fire Service.
Right.
You get donations being made to other security services, because I feel as a priority, people prioritize their security more than their safety. And we see a lot of investment going into the security, much more than the safety aspect of the nation. So again, we also know of us to ask from our leadership to invest in Ghana National Fire Service, because one, as a service, we don't buy our tenders. The tenders are bought by the state. Also, there are people who can donate fire tenders if they have partnerships with people outside in your area. If you can have a fire tender donated to your area to serve the community. It's a shame that a big area like East Legon, Ajay, where we have affluent people staying, we don't have a single fire station there or a fire tender. So if there's any fire, the appliance moves all the way from the west of Ghana. Look at the biggest constituency in Ghana, Domo-Kabinya. We don't have a single fire station over there. So if there's any fires at Sherman, Domi, Taifa, with the appliance would have to move from Medina Red Junction to that. And obviously, there'll be a delay in our response.
So with all of these challenges, that you have outlined, obviously it's a big problem for the fire service to be able to be efficient if all of this exists. What is the plan moving into the next year to try and have some of these issues, addressed? What is the call on government? What is the plan that the fire service has in place?
Well, the government had promised and assured us, of procuring some new fire tenders. But looking at the fact that today is 31st December, I can't tell when it's coming. And so it becomes a very big challenge for us as a service. So for us as a service, we are still hoping and expecting government to come through for us. But then again, we are again not relaxing or reneging on our commitment. And so we are fixing the tenders, most of the tenders that are out of commission or that are broken down, so that we'll be able to get them, operationalized in case there's an emergency, while we hope and wait on government to get us some new fire tenders.
Very well. Thank you for speaking to us here on Starr today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We've just spoken to the PRO, the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Alex King Nate, here on Starr today. You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. We are live across the country on our affiliate stations.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Songali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Get ready for the ultimate celebration of African culture, the African Festival. 3 spectacular nights await you at the Accra International Conference Center. 2 electrifying plays by Latif Abubakar on the 28th. Don Quixote, Africa, and 29th of December. Ghana Must Go. And 30th December, the Afro Night concert featuring the legendary Yvonne Chaka Chaka. Experience more magic as you step into the den of history. Embrace adventure with Common Rise in the desert. Marvel at the iconic pyramid of Giza. Nelson Mandela Capture Site. Explore the food festival, a world of fun for the kids and more. Dial star 714 star 70 hash or visit theafricanfestival.com to join Africa's biggest culture night at 250 cities per day or 600 cities for 3 days. Hotline 0571 900 900. The African Festival is supported by EIB Network, powered by Globe Productions. The African Festival. Africa awaits you.
You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM, and continuing with the bulletin. The pressure on members of the National Council of the governing New Patriotic Party in deciding the front bench of the party in the 9th Parliament has just increased a notch higher. First Deputy Speaker Joseph Osowusu, Chairman of Committees of Parliament, and even Deputy Minority Chief Whip Ahmed Ibrahim have all made a strong case for Majority Leader Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin to be maintained as leader of the NPP caucus in the 9th Parliament. The latest to pile up the pressure are members of the Women's Caucus of the NPP. Addressing the media, the MP for Ablekuma North, Sheila Battels, appealed to the party to maintain Asqua MP Patricia Piaget as deputy leader and Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin as leader.
Of the 8th Parliament and moving forward, the few women that are left behind, also because of challenges like this, where women are not being given a chance, we are saying emphatically that we are not going to accept anything less than Honorable Apj being kept in her position as deputy leader. We know that now the women have reduced dramatically in the New Patriotic Party. The party should consider this. Women need to be helped. Women need to be supported. Women need to be given the push. Women need to be given a chance to succeed and to get to the top. We want to see women as speakers. We want to see women as majority leaders. Please, this is the time to show our commitment to the women and ensure that we don't see anything changing. We expect, hopefully, that Honorable Afenyo-Markin will remain as our majority leader.
We are expecting to see Honorable Patricia PJ as our deputy. We are expecting to see our chief whip, Honorable Anadompre, take his position. We are expecting to see Honorable Habib continue, and hopefully, because Honorable Alex Tete is leaving Parliament, we believe that there will be a worthy replacement. So please, this is our humble appeal, but then we know it's humble, but we are serious. We expect the women to be well represented.
Sheila Batel speaking there. Well, former Deputy Majority Whip and MP for Ayawaso West Wagon, Lydia Sarah Malhassan, and MP for Ibuakwa North, Gifty Chumampofo, also made a passionate appeal for the front bench to be maintained.
Well, she was able to put the two parties together during this difficult 8th Parliament that we had. You want to keep her to continue with the good work that she did, to continue with the good work. So my part is our woman. My part should maintain as a leader in Parliament. Thank you. Women to see experienced women in leadership who can mentor, nurture, and also motivate younger people, younger ladies, to have hope in the leadership of the country and in our beloved party, the New Patriotic Party. We therefore, as my colleague has said, appealing to leadership and all well-meaning Ghanaians and that of the New Patriotic Party. Now, this era where we have passed the Affirmative Action Act, by this New Patriotic Party government, we are appealing and reminding the party that all and sundry are looking up to them. And as you've always seen, wherever we have the women, they deliver. And we need to do this to the Affirmative Action Act. By this New Patriotic Party government, we are appealing and reminding the party that all and sundry are looking up to them. And as you've always seen, wherever we have the women, they deliver. And we need to do this to attract many more young ladies into the party, and also those already in there to have hope of rising to the top.
You've just listened there to some members of parliament in the Women Caucus of the NPP. Now let's switch our attention to some stories bordering on cholera. We're taking you to the Ashanti region now, where we understand that 5 cases of cholera have been recorded in the region. The Ashanti region follows the Greater Accra, Central and Western regions, where a number of deaths were recorded due to the outbreak of the disease. Fred Adomako Boateng is the Ashanti Regional Health Director. He joins us on phone for some updates. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Starr today. What is the current state, of infections and also affected persons in the Ashanti region as far as cholera is concerned?
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity. So currently, as we speak now, we don't have any active case of cholera. But actually, as you said, it's true. We recorded 5 cases. The last patient was discharged on the 24th of this month. But if you really look at the cases that we recorded in Ashanti region, they are quite different from the other regions, specifically Greater Accra, Western, Central. Because ours, you could really track where the cases were coming from. That made intervention easier for us. And I just want to give you a breakdown. So 3 of the cases actually ate from the same place, in the same region. They have traveled to and returned to Kumasi. So one was staying at the Kwai, and the other.
Hello? Right, we seem to have lost Fred Adomako Boateng on the line. He is Ashanti Region Health Director, and he was just giving us updates as regards the cholera outbreak in the Ashanti region. We understand that 5 cases of cholera have been recorded in the region. Already in the Greater Accra region, the Western region, and the Central region, a number of cholera cases were recorded, and a number of deaths as well due to cholera were recorded. Now, the latest is the Ashanti region, where we understand that some cases have been recorded. And the Ashanti Regional Director was just briefing us on the situation in the Ashanti region. We lost him briefly. Thankfully, we have him back on the line. Mr. Fred Adomako, thank you for joining us once again. We lost you earlier on the line, but I would like you to continue from the point where you left off.
Okay, so as I said, our cases were typical textbook outbreak cases where we could easily trace the source of infection. We got 2 cases, 3 cases from one region where the 3 gentlemen have visited for a program, ate in the same place, and came back. 1 went to the Kwai, then the 2 went to the Cherisau. And that's how come we got our case in Ashanti region. So the 4th case actually got it from the other 2 that were at Cherisau. And the 5th case we also had from a different region that had come. So ours, it was easier for us to easily get a contact, go to their houses, disinfect the houses, and also mount active surveillance and contact follow up. So as we are speaking now, we don't really have any active cases in the region. But I mean, our message has been the same. We are not really, we are not really scared about whether we get it or not. But the timeliness of really detecting the cases when they come to the region, and I will just bow my heart to the medical suit for the Kwai Hospital, and then I'm gonna, with a timely nature, I which they were able to identify the cases so that we could confirm the cases for us to know that. So that's what I will say, that early detection, testing, and getting the cases are good. I was discussing with some of your colleagues, and I told them that, look, for every 10 people that are exposed to the germ, basically it's only 1 or 2 people who will come down with symptoms that you can really see that these people are really having the agent that causes the disease. But apart from that, 8 to 9 of us will not really show any symptoms. And that's where the danger really is, where we can be transmitting the disease. So the basic caveat and then the standard that we should always be practicing is universal precaution or standard precaution, where we talk about the basic preventive measures that we are supposed to undertake, which is sanitation, your hand hygiene, you wash your hands with water and running water and soap, or you use sanitizer, basically the alcohol gel one. Because if about only 20% or let's say 10% will show symptoms, what about the 80% which will not show and go about spreading? And that's why we say that, look, it's always important that we put in the universal precautions so that at least we can curtail about 70% of all these infections. And that has been our being here. We have had series of meetings with all our medical suits, district directors, environmental, and then RCC, and then if you cascade it down, the districts also have had a meeting with the District Health Management Committee, and so basically that's what we were able to do. And I must admit that our questions were quite easier as compared to our counterparts in the other regions.
Right. Thank you very much, Fred Adomako Boateng, for bringing us that update.
Thank you.
Fred Adomako Boateng is the Ashanti Regional Health Director, joining us here on Starr today for updates on the cholera situation in the Ashanti region. You're still listening to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. And right before we go, Zebula MP Kletos Avoka has decried what he says is the use of resources meant for the development of Boko for the security of the land. The area, which has been under recurrent conflict for decades, recently experienced another series of reprisal attacks. But speaking to Starr News on the sidelines of the 37th Samampede Festival, the outgoing Member of Parliament had advocated for peace, arguing that the occurrence remains uncalled for.
The challenge we've had in Boku area, the Kusak area, the 6 constituencies for development is because of the conflict that we have. Government machinery, government resources is rather used to maintaining peacekeepers in the Boku, a large number of soldiers, a large number of policemen and national security personnel in Boku. Instead of talking about development, this is why we are hoping that as soon as John Mahama is sworn in, he takes over, then the security challenge will be reduced to the very minimum and will now tackle issues of development. The road infrastructure is there. The Boko hospital has become a ghost hospital. The Boko market has collapsed. The bank financial institutions have closed. Everything. Life has come to a standstill in Boko. For 4 years now, Boko people have been under curfew. Even the curfew now is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that is inhuman. People don't ride motorbikes in Boko for 4 years. They cannot do business. You know, people don't wear smocks and they cannot portray their custom and tradition. This is an uncalled for.
You've just listened to Zabila MP Cletus Avoka. And that should do it for Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. For more news, log on to starfm.com.gh. Also take a look at our social media pages at Starr 1035 FM on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, and on YouTube. My name is Lantam Papanko. Do enjoy the rest of your evening and a happy new year to you.